Hey guys, what's up? So today I have a book haul for you. It's my summer book haul. I finally amassed enough books that I feel justified in making a video about what I've purchased over the past 2.5 months or so. I have 8 books to show you, nothing too crazy, but I tend to like to talk about the books a lot, so let's go. The first one is actually one that you've already spotted in a lot of my videos if you followed me during the Booktubeathon. I bought it right before that happened and just read it right away because I wanted to, but that is The Cuckoos Calling by Robert Galbraith / J.K. Rowling. I hadn't hauled it yet, so I figured I should at least mention that I did buy this book, and since I have read it, I can say that I thoroughly enjoyed it. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars, and I will have a review of this up at some point shortly. It'll be my next review that I do. It is a crime murder mystery following Cormoran's strike. He was previously with the army, now he's back in civilian life, having some trouble adjusting, but he is very skilled at what he does. He is looking into the supposed suicide, but also potentially murder of a particular model, and it is a really good book. I didn't want to put it down. The next 4 that I have to show you I bought when one of my local bookstores was celebrating its 2-year anniversary, and so they had a buy 3 get the 4th free deal with books, and they're already discounted because they're used books, so it was definitely something that I had to go check out. The first book that I picked up was The Virgin Suicides by Jeffrey Eugenides. This book is about 5 sisters who commit suicide, the Virgin Suicides, but it's told from the perspective of the boys who lived across the street, and they're sort of reflecting on these girls and how they were so beautiful and mysterious and whatnot. I have heard a lot about this book. I have seen the movie, and I have also read Middlesex by him, so I do have some expectations about how this book is going to be written. But the reason I picked it up now is because I love this cover so much. Next, I picked up 2 Bill Bryson books. The first one is The Lost Continent, Travels in Small Town America. Bill Bryson is originally from Des Moines, Iowa, but he lived in the UK for a long time, and so when he writes this, he's been in the UK for 10 years and he decides to kind of come back and see America again. And then he realizes what he left behind and how it's sort of not as awesome. Even just by reading the back, you can see like how he's feeling about this. He says, populated by obese and slow-witted hicks with a partiality for synthetic fibers. Like, I've noticed with his earlier books, he seems to be very like sarcastic, but I still do enjoy reading his stuff. The other one I picked up was The Life and Times of the Thunderbolt Kid. This is a memoir of Bill Bryson's early life growing up in the 1950s, and apparently the Thunderbolt Kid was something that he would dress up as when he was little just because he managed to find some sort of shirt with a lightning bolt on it. That's what I've gathered so far. This wasn't necessarily one that I would have picked up if it hadn't been on sale, but I figured since it was very affordable that I could give it a shot because I have heard good things about his other works that aren't travel related. The last book that I picked up is The House at Riverton by Kate Morton. It's funny because I believe this is actually Kate Morton's debut. She also wrote The Forgotten Garden and The Distant Hours, both of which I own and have not read. So I basically have the complete set of her works now without having read any of them, but I have heard good things from people that I trust, so I was like, that seems good, let's pick that one up. I also really like the fact that the covers match, they all fit together. This particular one is about a woman named Grace who works as a servant at Riverton House, and she and the 2 daughters at the time are witness to a murder, basically, of what happened, what went down, and this is in the 1920s. Then, when she's older, apparently a filmmaker comes and says, hey, I want to make a movie about these events at Riverton House, can you walk me through what happened? And then she goes back to the house, and of course all these memories come flooding back, and so I think it's going to reveal what happened that night. It looks like this book is going to be a reawakening of memories of what happened in the 1920s, and also who doesn't love a 1920s setting? Yeah. This book was sent to me by Penguin, and that is Everything I Never Told You by Celeste Ng. This has been making its rounds on BookTube, and so far everything that I've seen has been extremely positive, and so I am excited to finally pick it up and read it when that day comes. This one, if you don't already know, is about an Asian American family living in Ohio in the 1970s. So it has a very interesting setting. And the middle child, the beloved middle child, winds up dead. It looks like a murder, and so of course that sends everything into like a downward spiral. Seems like it's about this family and they're dealing with the murder. Not necessarily a murder mystery and figuring out who killed her, but how is this family going to overcome the immense sadness that happens when you lose a child or a sister. Then lastly, I have the two books I was waiting for to come in the mail so that I could film this book haul. Big light change. Anyway, the first one is Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell. I have yet to read a book by her, and this one seemed to be the most promising because I do understand this fangirling lifestyle. I lived it to a certain extent with Harry Potter, and since this is sort of a take on that, I thought it would be perfect to pick up. It follows Kath, who is about to go off to university, and she has always been super close with her twin Ren, and when Ren says she doesn't want to room with her anymore, obviously Kath is very uncomfortable with this. Kath is obsessed with the Simon Snow books, which is obviously supposed to be a mirror of the Harry Potter series, and she is much more withdrawn than her sister, and she writes fan fiction and is very involved in this online world, and I remember being involved in that level when I was like in high school and middle school with Harry Potter, so I feel like I'm gonna have some like really nostalgic flashbacks to that time from this book, but I've also heard that it's very relatable. Just the way the characters are written, they seem like people that you would know in your own life, so I am really looking forward to reading this book. Then lastly, it goes with the first book that I talked about, and that is The Silkworm by Robert Galbraith / J.K. Rowling. So because I loved The Cuckoos Calling so much, I figured I needed to get The Silkworm ASAP. Same characters before, we're following Cormoran Strike, and he is trying to solve this mystery surrounding a writer. The writer's wife believes that he is just run off and like he occasionally does this, but apparently Cormoran Strike discovers that he didn't just disappear and like, you know, get away for a few days. He was actually murdered. And because of the book that he was writing, which had a lot of potentially bad stories about people, there's a lot of suspects as to who would have killed this author to keep this book from being finished and published. Can't wait to get started with this one. So, of the 7 of these 8 books that I haven't actually read yet, let me know which one you want me to read first. I always like to see which one wins out with the crowd. There are a couple that I'm leaning towards a little bit more, but I'm also reading 3 books right now, so I feel like I kind of need to bring myself in before I go crazy and read a bunch more. If you have read any of these books, let me know what you thought below. As always, all of our links are in the doobly-doo. Feel free to check those out if you feel so inclined. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys later.